Everybody get up, it's time to slam now.
Come on and slam, and welcome to the jam. Come on and slam, if you wanna jam.
I don't do it every day. I don't even get to see him every day. The moment you become a parent, you begin counting down to the letting go. My ribs are an abacus measured in beats of his heart and the number of moments we have left that he'll want to be this close to me. But in the time we have, we are studying the philosophy of clocks. When first built, clocks were given hands as their instrument of time. I believe this is the clock builder's way of reminding us to hold on, because time is a stampede of horses running straight at the cliff's edge, but the people we love are the parachutes we take with us. So when the road runs out beneath us, we do not fall. We cannonball off that pucker. Listen, there's not much of it. So time is the greatest gift a man can give to his kids. My father gave me 3 gifts. A little red wagon he gave me for Christmas, a hand-stamped leather wallet he made for me in prison, and the hole in that wallet where whatever currency he hoped his memory would become fell out. No matter how poor I have been or become, I will never be my son's empty wallet. If all I can give him are palm prints whispered into his hands and memories of crossing the streets, he will know I was there between him and the trucks, pretending to pull the sun out from behind the moon's ear and put it in his pocket. My son still believes my hands can do magic. But I'll leave the escape acts for runaway dads, those Houdini cowards whose families have been left holding the chains on their absence. I am not gifted with wombs, do not bleed sacred or know the secret name of the song that is sung when a child's first breath is taken inside of his mother. I cannot swim in that ocean, so this is as close to creation as I will ever come. But every time I hold my son's hand, I can feel God's heart beating. Why do I still hold his hand? Because he still wants me to. And listen, if we're telling the truth, aren't you really only offended because you're worried that me holding his hand too long will cause him to seek affection from other men? To the homophobe who's overly concerned that me holding my son's hand past a certain age will cause him to grow up gay. Fuck you. If my son grows up to kiss sunlight from another man's lips, then by God, I will walk him down the aisle, and if he'll let me, I'll hold his hand all the way to the altar. Listen, I have a theory. There is one secret that love shares with the math of the universe. It's the subtraction in the equation which causes the problem to exist in the first place. This is true for a man and his kids as well. So as long as he is reaching out, I will take nothing away from my son, especially these hands. Unlike most boys, I never wanted to be a firefighter because I understand quantum mechanics and the physics of flowers, how easily the flame blossoms on the flesh when it is caught unexpected, how a friend's face was ruined by the flames. Before the accident, his parents said he grew like a weed. But weeds, flowers, and young boys' awkward bodies are all born of heat. Energy exchange between the sun, the ground, and seed, and he was pink with it. The burden of burning, turning his bones into ash around the elbows. His head was a rose, face folded in places like petals, chest a napalm-colored sweater. Rainwater ran through mazes to escape his flesh. His hands felt like folded socks when I held them. He was my friend. There were flames trapped inside of him. We were 12, and I remember his face before the tablecloth caught fire, before we could no longer run together in gym because his legs wouldn't carry him. The physics of flowers and little boys are the same. Energy is never created or destroyed, only changed. He was changed. We were changed. But his skin was never wrong, only covered with scars. According to science, the definition of work is energy exerted over distance. My eyes would not cover the distance between his skin and me, so my eyes did not work. Months later, we stood rooted in place in a grocery store aisle, this flower of fire my friend had become and I, staring at each other across his mother's shopping cart. We were motionless, 2 children on the edge of a chasm that neither one dared to cross. I never wanted to be a firefighter, but that day he did. wanted to push the flames back down in his skin and remind me he was human. My friend lifted his arms for a hug, and I swear to you, in that moment, this flower became a bird, hairless, feverish, and free. This boy flower bird burning turned to me with the simple science born of reason and said, "Don't feel sorry for me. I'm the same boy you knew 9 months ago. Just talk to me like a person. Shit. Just talk to me." My friend taught me to face my fears and his because his face was full of them. His skin taught me the physics of flowers. When it is wilted, a flower is bent by the same heat that birthed it. And in learning how to bend, he learned how to fly. So in honor of his wings, I hold pretty poetry in both hands for the wind to have, and wing letters of love to all those who hurt, because pain is fucking ugly. But this burn victim, no, my friend Bobby was beautiful. A 12-step survival guide for introverts. 1, do not be ashamed of your silence. Speak only when necessary, and your words will carry their own weight. This only makes your voice stronger. 2, do not let being alone make you feel lonely. Use the extra time to unwrap your middle name like the last box of dishes from your mother's kitchen. Learn to love mirror for the gentle insistence that your skin carries light like a postal worker. You are here to deliver something. 3, treat the word love like a prayer. Speak it only when your soul has been shaken by a spirit so powerful you find yourself on the floor. Do not expect it to save you. Love, like prayer, is an act of faith that makes your body a holy place. So do not surrender your prayers to anyone whose hands are not clean enough to heal. 4, when you do choose to speak, do not whisper like rain. Gather as much of the sky as your lungs can contain. Scream like crickets, like cicadas. Covet the moon. Convince the sky of your claim. 5, the laughter of children is the sound the rain is trying to make. When it stands outside your door waiting to be let in, let it in. Keep the sky company. 6, remove the callus from your heart. All that hard flesh left from walking away 1 dozen, 100, 1,000 times. Your chest is not filled with feet, so do not crawl on the floor looking for love. Stand up. 7, when your son tells you that old people smell like books, show him the goosebumps. Tell him that this is the power of his words. Teach him to understand conversation as the fine art of carving. Remind yourself of this lesson. Let silence be the tool of your creation. 8, a room with 6 closed doors is not as inviting as a room with 1 that is open. You are not the only one who feels lonely, but your heart is a door, so open it. Keep the world company. 9, love is not an animal to be chased by drunken moons. It is the water where the moon rests her head, the hot breath and wild eyes of something unseen. So when it comes, do not be startled by its movement in the trees. 10, never give up on love. Keep coming back to this. Not the person who hurt you, but the idea. Remember that love, like God, is too big to hide forever. 11, you will fear that your last name, your leftover bottles of rainwater, or your love of cicadas have taught the world to see you as strange. But 12, searching the carnival glass of their eyes, we find the strange beautiful. The long halls of their silence filling their throats with the sound we have learned to name prayer. The first to write poems are always the lonely. So when you feel lonely enough to write poems, search your eyes in the mirror for a sadness that reminds you of home, and remember, you are here to deliver something. The word you are looking for is hope. Speak up, poet.
A strong wind blows with force, pushing away rough times of trials and tribulations. Then comes new times, of course, to show no remorse and no more limitations. Problems don't last too long if we put God first in every situation. Our heart will be content in any event because prayer precedes preparation. Tick tock, time never stops. Our time can be seconds away. So live life to the fullest extent and put God first each day.
She said, "Will you go with me?" And I said, "Yes, of course." I was barely 18 and I had no idea what any of it meant to her or to me. And then I saw the hatred in their eyes. I heard the hatred in their voices. I saw hatred on their signs. I felt their hatred slide inside me like the speculum my friend was there to survive. It seemed an eternity from my car to the door, and I walked that gauntlet with my heart on fire, sheltering her behind me. And I remember thinking to myself, this is wrong. No more. No more. So to the people who think they can own my vagina, your stubborn refusal to acknowledge my rights left me stuck between legal doctrine and media sound bites. You're blind if you think you get to be in charge of what I have between my thighs. You created your paper tiger of Judiciary Inc. What part of history have you tried to ignore that you think you can own the life of another? Dictate to my ovaries? Want to orchestrate the orchids of my female flower, a mad conductor to my fallopian tube sonata? Let me preach some truth to your medulla oblongata. You can't control us. And your ignorance is showing if you think we will bow down to a bunch of clowns trying to tell us you have the right to legislate what I can and cannot do with my own body, trying to make me the living intestate, you need to listen up. Who told you that you get to play God when I'm the one with fire, the fire of creation overflowing my cup? You don't have clout to run game like that. Do not proselytize to my uterus or try to bend my free will to enjoin yours. You can wallow in ignorance if you choose, but don't go cry to your political party when I choke you out playing tit for tat. You plant your seeds without thought for the future of the crop, then exit stage left, abdicate responsibility, leaving me with an unbearable choice. And you seem to believe that now you have some say over the decision. How dare you question me when you were the one hopped up on your delusions? I will grieve in silence away from your view. You don't get to see how the choices I have to make in this world weigh on me. I exclude you. You take patriarchy to the extreme and use religion to regulate the aftermath of my verbs you wanted to conjugate. But I got news for you, troglodyte. You try to overthrow the queendom of my womb? You may like to think you do, but baby, you don't run that room. I am not your political cause celeb, and you will not climb to fame on the rungs of my scarred back. I stand forth holding aloft my fist, shoulder to shoulder with my sisters. We are angry, and we will commit to launching our juggernaut against your selfish, ignorant tide. It is you who will find out who's soft in this fight for the survival of our mastery over our bodies and our rights. Push us again, and you won't like the boundaries we lay, and you will not rule us like we are chattel, dictating your rules to us as if we are cattle to be prodded by the long arm of your law. Get your gavel out our business. I'm pulling it out the depths of my craw where you shoved it down my throat. You mowed down the wisdom of the double X that gave us 50 years to grow. Try to preach dogma to my body. Think you can subjugate my free will. You need to think long and hard about what you're going to do when we bring our storm to your hill, because we will no longer tolerate interference with our elemental flow. As women, we will rise. As women, we will succeed. As women, we will work together to make sure no man can control what happens when the flow of our menses ceases to bleed. Only we can craft our futures. And when it comes down to hard choices, I will execute my own destiny as I so decide, because my body doesn't belong to you. My body is mine. It cannot be misdirected, mistreated, or misused, undermined, misappropriated, co-opted, or abused. We have had enough. Mothers, daughters, witches, and queens. So to the people who think they can own my vagina, sit down, shut up, and listen to your mama.
I remember when smiling felt better than this. I'm in a negative zone outside the storm, where everything gray has been replaced with something painted gray. My psychiatrist spotted depression over my shoulder while I rattled off my daily data. I couldn't see her, but I imagine her dress was gray. He didn't say. But these little white pills should make her go away. Want to write a poem about my friend who died, but the words don't feel right in my mouth, so I have to spit them out and wait another day. I wish I could write him a song. Instead, I keep this vigil and watch her while she works her brush until the red is gone and the green is gone and the blue is gone and the air is heavy with her. I ache for the violence of the storm, but I would never tell my doctor that. So I listen for the sound of distant thunder while he's talking and watch the rain over his shoulder.
Stampedes of crazed adults trampling children, storming shelves in the fashion of Allied forces storming Normandy Beach. Grown-ass adults investing their life savings into purchasing the rarest of their kind, only to lose almost all of the value of their collection. A New Hampshire couple thought they hatched a dope idea by forging checks to purchase and sell them for profit, to purchase heroin. Now flooding hospital donation bins, Goodwill, and Savers locations nationwide, in the closets of unfortunate heirs of a lost fortune, Beanie Babies were the Bitcoin of the 1990s. These limp sacks of understuffed animals now face a more grim future, being the filling of beanbag chairs, as their owners had developed a fetish of sitting on the carcasses of their friends, mainly as a way to achieve a dopamine rush by exacting a revenge on their failed investments of hopes and dreams through imprisonment, utter dominance, and occasional gas torture by way of flatulence. In a movement as bizarre as the movement that birthed it, this kink is known by many different names, depending on region. Beanie Baby chambering has taken the North American furry communities by storm in a similar fashion that Queenie babying was popularized by the royal family. Beanie Baby Kinkaroo has shook Japan's kink worlds to its core, to the point that cyberpunk cinema is experiencing a renaissance. The ripples of influence even stretch out throughout India, as new positions were included in the revised edition of the Kama Sutra, named after some of the most popular Beanie Babies, with Squealer the Pig, voted #1 in Cosmopolitan India's list of hottest positions to do with your summer this summer. Just to do with, yeah. Bottom line, it doesn't matter what you call it. At the end of the day, it's a young that will be yucked a lot more than toes getting sucked in an ever so evolving case study that is worth exploring, preferably from a distance.
It suddenly slowed down, the breath that is. What a kind way to forget someone that is yourself. I felt a hum from the other dimension and wondered how I became so muted. I foxtrotted into the galaxy far, far away, and while I hit each cold star, they exploded one by one into a finer piece of nothingness. Imagine how those poor dears felt, nauseous little nothings, oblique to the moon, and crying always about whether the sun truly saw them.
They say the color of the water is that of black tea in the deepest river, and what mirrored this was my sorrow, all that depth compressed in this body of mine, my body. Let's just say sorrow resided in my bones, something tangible. She told me this world is still in bright hues, yet all of those have bled out in front of me into a sticky black puddle like hot tar, my strange shoes now making footprints to be perhaps permanent on this road lined with colorless trees having uprooted the old asphalt while the roses followed suit, and even the sky, just empty space. She loved to wear gray, whereas I didn't feel her love, yet I missed her, like how I missed the feeling, opposite to sorrow. Her favorite idiom, the weight of the world is on my shoulders, repeated so many times that those words spun around in my mind like earth itself. In secrecy, it was I who held up the world, that minuscule marble, the only object that presented itself to me in colors I found neglected on the side of the newly tarred road. Holding the glass sphere between my left thumb and index finger, I aligned it up to the sun to witness the blue and green sparkling, the weight of the world finally off my shoulders, but just a mirage manifesting in this marble that was surprisingly heavy. And then I threw it out while I felt she was through with me. I just don't understand your poetry, translating to she just doesn't understand me. I came to the conclusion that living there was just a house, not a home, just me in my own corner without boxing gloves, just me in my own corner in the ring trying to escape, but still dependent. Like how the rose needs the sun, the little prince needs his rose, and I need the sun that still rises. Even those light beams bouncing, I could see them more clearly when they filtered in through the window, illuminating the dust. Her rose petals recently turned to dust. If only sorrow could turn to dust and disintegrate, rubbing it between my fingers like ash to watch the wind carry it away. I discovered what I would like: for someone to be close to me. At night, I wish they would just hold my hand, hold me close to tell me, this is not your fault, and I love you while my eyes are blurry with tears. You will be okay. More than just okay.
At 14, my best friend Jerry was the pastor's son, who carved the name of every girl he loved or wanted to love into the flesh of his arms with a razor blade. One look was enough to earn his blood. They called him crazy, but I don't trust the word sane, so let's just say committed. He never forgot their names, could tell you what color their eyes were. Still to this day, I wonder if wearing their names made him feel less lonely or more. I used to tease him and ask if they understood that this was what he meant when he told them he wanted to take them in his arms. His skin always felt lonely. They called him crazy, but I wonder if they ever thought the word brave. Letting go is hard when you fear the expiration date of every smile. All he ever wanted was some small proof of each moment he came close to love. Each raised letter in his flesh was a smile he had touched with his hand. Every pucker of flesh, a kiss he could still feel with his hands while we got high outside the church where his father gave sermons. His body was an illuminated manuscript painted the color of romance, written in a violent braille. So desperate for touch, he touched himself with pain, with bleeding. I asked him once. He said he felt every cut. I was always too afraid of the pain. Not the cursive or the bleeding, but the goodbye. I have spent my life writing letters only to myself on paper. These poems are the names of every person I never had the courage to lose. What he did to his own skin was probably wrong, but what I have done to my own heart may be worse. If he was Bradbury's Illustrated Man, one scar tissue tattoo short of his own story, then I was Frankenstein's monster, borne away by darkness and distance, with the dark jealousy for the romance he had with his skin, a witness to the strange intimacy of his pain. I wonder if Jerry has a family today, if there was any room left, a patch of skin around the elbows or something near the wrist, perhaps, to allow their names to spill across his skin. Or if he is still alone, has he crafted a complete alphabet of misconnections, drafted dictionaries of desperation down his legs, every word another person whose name was goodbye? Wherever he is, I wish that I could tell him that I will not start carving names in my arm or open a vein for love, but because of him, I did not wage war on my skin. I tore my heart open with a pen, found myself a child hiding inside, traced the blood to the wrist and wrote, because of you, Jerry, I know it doesn't have to hurt to open your arms. As a boy, I sat beneath trees every summer and watched the robins fall from their nests. Wondered how a thing built for the sky could have such irresistible attraction to earth. These first attempts at flight were all the proof I needed. Our bodies do not always know their own purpose. The day you told me the body you were born with was not yours, I saw how scared the birds were in your eyes. We have both known parents who march in pride parades and call themselves ally, until it is their child who speaks the words, hello, my name is not the one that you think. If you knew how long I have been holding my breath, you would know I am Moses parting the sea in the effort to be free. It is my time to be free. Dad, your son would like to introduce herself to you. As a parent, words are the gifts I have been given. My hands are not delicate enough to thread rain through the eye of a needle, or I would write this poem for you in high desert storm. I may not speak the tongue of the sky, but I am trying to gather enough wind to tell you that every bird is born flightless. My heart is the tree you cannot fall from. If the body you own, little bird, does not make room for your wings, remember the bees. Sometimes nature gifts you the sky even when your wings are too small. Every bird learns to fly with a fall, and you have fallen enough. 3 stories from your mother's balcony. 33 feet to prove you could land on your own too, and I've been meaning to ask what you were trying to do. Were you trying to jump out of your own skin? Or use gravity to map the Earth's body because yours was such unfamiliar terrain? Were you trying to understand the curves you found missing from your hips, or how rain traces the Earth's body the way you once traced your fingerprints with the end of a pencil as if to introduce yourself to your own touch? Listen, you are more perfect than water, more beautiful than rain catching the moon's eye with her dance. My daughter, you do not have to prove to anyone that gender has nothing to do with genitals, that the idea of doctors assigning this at birth based on nothing but the evidence of flesh is arbitrary, a way to check boxes on birth documents, that you are born in the body 2 chromosomes decide to take dancing, that those chromosomes don't even exist in some animals, that who you love and who will love you should have nothing to do with your body anyway. So please, make yourself compass. Point yourself the direction of your happiness and fly, little bird. Let the wind taste the back of your throat and the ground envy your wings for the shadows they cast. And if this boy's borrowed body or this world's need for gender definition make you feel you do not fit in, you show them exactly who the fuck you are. You tell them your father loves you, and if any of them have a problem with that, you tell them to come see me. Oh, I'll tell them all about the birds and the bees.
What don't kill me would only make me stronger. Footsteps are lighter. Pain is my new provider, maturing me into a state of mind so my vision can be wider. But let's not take it to the extreme. I'm still gonna blow off steam if you understand what I mean. You see, I walk slow, but I want you to keep up with this pain. You see, the things that I'm talking about, knowledge and wisdom you would gain. You see, it's not about tussling with this pain. I want you to confront it with no shame. You see, what it's doing is building character to your name. Do you get my drift? Or you looking at me like, he's a lame. Well, if you are, it's a damn shame, because I done came up in this game. The things that I had to do, that shit was lame. Running the streets, thought I had it all figured out. My so-called friends all counted me out, but still, I ran the streets with my peeps until the feds came through and did they sweep. Now look at you, in pain. You still want to live up to this game, lame? You see, what I'm trying to explain is my character I gain from pain.
This broken road runs in an agonizingly endless stretch. Concrete barriers, etched and stained with creeping black sludge. They separate me from the marshscape where stunted trees like old women's hands grow in twists and gnarls. Their arthritic fingers have ripped handfuls of tree hair, greenish graying moss, and they brandish it at me as I drive past. Is it a warning to turn back or a plea for help? This apocalyptic roadway is cracked and jagged with crisscrossing lines of repairs begun and seemingly abandoned. Lonely, strange, and unloved. This is the I-10 interstate that connects Louisiana to Texas. On the outskirts of a tiny town, I see a bridge, the concrete support of which has been tattooed in the shape of Jesus on the cross by chemical stain. Acid rain, a graven image in a place already choked to death by human hands, and resurrection appears impossible. Abandoned rail cars sit unrusted in ghostly gray, full of some substance at least 18 syllables long and clearly not fit for human contact. I wonder idly if the water tastes sweet on the tongue. A few miles farther, in piles of gravel and stacks of pipes, lie in puddles of water created by caterpillars and bobcats. Not the furry ones, the metal ones that leave land scars behind. It looks as if a giant baby made this place his activity table and went down for his nap. Toys left strewn for mother to straighten, except she never did. And now they lie where he left them, forgotten and rotting beside the tracks of his metal pets. These images are surreal as I speed down the 10. The hum of my tires is a counterpoint to the dissonance of the strange landscape. I can almost imagine I'm leaving the bounds of the known world, and it is an exercise in fortitude to keep my foot in the floor against the knot in my stomach and the weight in my heart. This place feels trapped in stasis, and its entropy leaves an eerie echo in my head. Finally, signs of human existence appear. A neighborhood full of large houses with multi-pitch roofs and monochrome exteriors, all built so close to each other the children could play hopscotch roof to roof. Nice neighborhoods are kept away from the screaming wheels of interstate traffic, while this one practically invites me to pop in for a cold one and some brisket. But the smoke plumes of the factory in the near distance provide the context I need to understand why. These are modern-day mill houses, surrounded by the orgiastic decay of a petrochemical giant in too big of a hurry to do anything other than throw up cardboard mansions of shamed glory where you toll in the light and come home at night to your American dream amid this hellish place literally named sulfur. The houses sit boldly, proclaiming to all who pass through this place, "Look how we prosper here. See what we have achieved." On the shoulder to the right, behind another concrete barrier, stands a row of spindly crepe myrtle trees, their branches naked and blackened. East Texas fell out of the ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down. It is bizarre in its ugliness. And while it is possible for ugly to be noble, there is no nobility here. Spindly trees are just lipstick on a pig, and they cannot detract from the atrocities burning my sight. It gets worse. Smoke is pouring high as I come upon a series of metal conglomerations formed in odd and impossible shapes, like exoskeletons bolted onto the scabbed surface of the earth. Metal ticks clinging like forged keloids to Gaia's shuddering hide. Scabs on Gaia's knees. We have infected her with the disease of our greed. The shiny metal glints obscenely in the morning sun as if made from newly minted coins. I can make no sense of what I'm seeing. I can infer no understanding of what this horrorscape of bizarre shrapnel is meant to do, or how it could possibly create something worthy. I feel as if I have accidentally stumbled into the set of a science fiction movie. We have perpetrated grievous bodily harm, except no one is coming to give us our comeuppance. We're a first world country drunk on our own hubris. Here on this broken road of our dirty secrets, these horrifying superstructures proudly stand tall as symbols of excess. Through Houston, I follow the 10 beneath the giant monorail of a bridge, and the only beauty I see is the street art covering it. It's a fat cat skyway leading to a room in a mirrored glass building labeled with a sign that silently states, "New Era." But I know within that building is the room where our apocalypse is being mapped out on a chessboard made of diamonds, sitting in a lake of black gold. Tomorrow I leave for Montana. Maybe closer to the heavens, I can convince myself that I am not a party to this catastrophe that we have perpetrated upon our earth.
Mr. Grief left his card for next time. Now that the path is clear and the pain ain't so bad anymore, The smell of lightning rises from the ashes now that the house has burned to the ground. The peals of thunder are barely audible as the storm crawls away. So let the bells ring. Blows landed did their damage, but the pounding's done. Black eyes and broken hearts, there's still rage in this ragged man. Holding on to ropes to stay standing, but I was never strong. This fighter doesn't get to fall. So let the bell ring. Feeling damned made death's dance seductive, until putting my shoulder down pushed the dark back enough to get the words out. But demon songs still echo in my ears no matter how much I heal. So let hell ring. I've had my bell rung, been stung, flung, I've fallen, but I never had wings. Always too far from heaven to be heard, but still spitting scripture like some devil's son. So let the muse sing. May these verses resonate. May they give you fuel to fight. Maybe we can spend what we have left feeling less alone. Grabbing hands, healing hearts, listening. I'm listening. I'm still listening. So let the bells ring.
Oh, Crab Rangoon, you fill me up with fulfillment when you're filling face plants onto a field of my taste buds. Every time I have you inside my oral cavern, I cannot help but want to crush you with my stalagmite teeth and crush you and swallow you into my abyss while I enjoy feeling you disintegrate slowly under the pressure as you slide all the way down to the pit of my being. Oh, Crab Rangoon, you perfectly highly addictive, yet perfectly legal drug. And yes, I said drug. Have you ever eaten one and not feel dopamine and serotonin flood through every mini vessel of your being with the utmost sense of culinary nirvana? Oh, Crab Rangoon, you are the Asian equivalent to Pringles. Once you pop, you can't stop. In life, there should be only two defying universal periods, life before and after accepting Crab Rangoon as your Lord, Savior, and demigod. Oh, Crab Rangoon, you miracle of life! If you were made in your original pure form, the pharmaceutical industry would cease to exist because you cure all. I'll never forget that one time I had that one stomach ache, and you, with your crunchy exterior and your cheesy, creamy, crabby holiness, Rangoon, you are the body of Christ. Your healing powers influenced me to start an underground fighting club called Crab Rangoon Club. And the first rule of Crab Rangoon Club is that we definitely talk about Crab Rangoon Club. Oh, Crab Rangoon, the joy and despair of all. How they rewrote the history books. You, Crab Rangoon, every 80s power ballad and 70s adult film was inspired by you in some way by your rich sexual white chocolate. Oh, Crab Rangoon, I am a gold for you. Always have and always will.
Growing out from my fingernails are these pieces, sort of like the Wolverine, but I ain't clean. I don't munch on no candy like Reese's, but the recesses of my mind don't help me in time. When I see the reflection of my face from those shards sticking out at the perfect angle under the sunlight, I see my face and I think, Who am I? Blank. That's the word I think. To others, I don't like to use the word other or the word mother. I don't watch TV. You see, I can interact with people one way, but inside it's like a jungle gym swinging on monkey bars and in the pit full of colorful plastic balls, and feel like my toxic thoughts, the demons are throwing them at me consistently. And at night, I hate to admit it that sometimes I would scratch myself till I bled. You see, that ain't really me. The difference between the day and night, man, I just want to fight, but there's only myself and the bed sheets and the wall, and I ain't standing tall. I feel like I'm shrinking like a little 5-year-old curled up in a ball. Man, oh man, but I'm a woman and confusion washes over me at times, and I do my laundry too much. You see, sometimes I pee my bed. I'm like, fuck that shit, man, at 30, and this thought is interrupting me. My auntie sent me the National Geographic photograph of the year, and my hearts of hearts, it was very sad, but she didn't see it that way. Of a polar bear clinging to a melting glacier, clinging like how I cling to my bed sheets at night, and all she saw was amazement of the photograph, and I felt sick to my stomach, melting, melting, melting into the puddle, into the sea, and I'm like, where is his home? Where is my home? Man, I've been roaming too much, going to place to place to place. In my mind, I fly to outer space in the spaceship. You know what? It's my pen that leads me there. I avoid black holes because I got the premonition in my back pocket. Do I have superstition? Hell no. I'm past that moment in time. Sometimes I see the sublime. Sometimes I imagine myself on a surfboard. She talks of a river, the two sides, and all that's left is my mind, is what Dr. B told me years ago. We will get you through it and out of it.